So here we are in central London in the company of the truly inspirational Row2Recovery boys, at least 5 out of 6 of them. And before we go into their amazing story, if you don't mind guys, I'd like you to introduce yourselves one by one.
Yeah, hi, I'm Neil Heritage. I was injured in 2004 in Iraq and I'm a double above knee amputee.
I'm Alex McKenzie. I served with the parachute regiment in Iraq and Afghanistan, and I now work as a consultant in London.
Rory McKenzie. I was a company medic for the Staffords in 2007 and had my right leg blown off in a roadside bomb.
I'm Ed Chandran. I was in the Gurkhas. I did a tour of Iraq and 2 tours of Afghanistan, and I am able-bodied.
Carl Anstey, injured in Afghanistan in 2009, fractured femur and laceration of the sciatic nerve.
And did you guys know each other at all before you decided to get together on this madcap adventure we're about to talk about?
I knew Alex. He was my platoon commander in the in Depot Parachute Regiment, and I knew Neil because he's actually quite legendary in the amputee world in the military. He's like the godfather of amputees because he was wounded in 2004. These two I didn't know. Will I didn't know.
Okay, and Alex, perhaps you could tell us how the seeds were sown that saw you guys ending up in a boat in the Atlantic.
I think like any good idea, it just started as something quite small, and Ed and I had left the army, were a bit bored of having regular ordinary lives. We wanted to have a challenge and run an expedition, and the expedition we thought could raise funds for a cause which was important to us, and from that expedition it became a huge campaign to raise money, raise awareness, and it became what you've probably seen in the press and what the book tells the story of.
So Ed, what exactly did you do?
Well, we initially, with Alex, as he was saying, in the early days we wanted to just row the Atlantic. That was the kind of big idea. That snowballed, and we started talking about actually fundraising £1 million, and that was the main aim of the campaign, which ended up lasting 2 years. The row was always the flagship event, and for us it was probably 10% of the work in terms of the fundraising taking over our lives, but actually it was, in terms of physical challenge, pretty big on the horizon. We decided that actually what we wanted to do was put a message out there about life beyond disability. We decided that actually we wanted to do it with wounded guys. Both of us had been to Iraq and Afghanistan, had seen the kind of rough end of combat, and we felt that actually there was a story to be put out into the wider public about injured guys getting over their injuries and doing something beyond that, and something extraordinary. Hence we went and selected this motley crew and went after the Atlantic.
So Neil, when the idea was put to you, what did you think? You must be mad, or bring it on?
Well, first of all, it came as a kind of poster in an email, and it said something like 5,000 people have climbed up Everest, and over 500 people into space, but only 400 people have ever rowed across an ocean. Do you want to be one of them? And so I filled in the form and turned up to the first meeting, and it went from there, really. So,
sorry, I'm just going to stop you there. You filled in the form and turned. There was no voice in the head. Oh, I am a double amputee. That didn't come into it at all. This might not be that easy.
Yeah, I had thought about that.
It crossed your mind, had it?
We were meeting at the rowing centre where they deal with Paralympians and disabled rowers. So I kind of thought that's where the solution would be. I think in the back of my own mind, I always thought it wouldn't be me. It'd be more able-bodied people would be likely to make up the crew. But yeah, I was interested enough to go and find out. So.
And Carl, had you rowed before? I mean, it's an enormous challenge for anybody, able-bodied or not.
I bought a row machine by pure chance about 4 weeks prior to applying for Row2Recovery.
Just by coincidence?
Yeah, I bought a £1,000 row machine, put it in my front room, started rowing with one leg, and it was horrendous. But like Neil saw the flyer, I thought, well, why not give it a go? Probably the best thing I've done for the last 4 years, really.
I mean, I've got a rowing machine and I tend to watch the telly whilst I'm on it. I have to say,
sort of thing, yeah.
in your front room watching the telly, I would suggest it's slightly less horrendous than 3,000 miles with your naked comrades.
Yeah, very naked approach. It's easier rowing on the actual ocean. You know, you've got better scenery. It sounds crazy, but you've got that 360 arc of ocean views and flying birds, whatever. I mean, rowing in the rowing machine, you're from Row, it's very boring and lonesome. So I prefer the actual ocean to the rowing machine.
So Rory, it was obviously pretty tough. Lots of scrapes, lots of adventures, lots of highs, lots of lows. You nearly ran out of water at one point, didn't you? You had a call from Prince Harry.
That was a low point.
As time goes, the pain probably is forgotten. But
Yeah.
how tough was it?
The row. Physically, it wasn't that bad. I did have It's quite well captured in the book about the moment when I had to take shrapnel out my behind to sort of self-operate while...
I'm assuming that was shrapnel you already had. I mean, you weren't being shot at whilst you were rowing, huh?
Yeah. Shrapnel I already had from Basra.
I mean, how hard did they want to make it? We'll shoot you as you're doing it as well.
No, that was the hard... Physically, that was the only hard part for me. I think it was more mentally hard. The first 2 weeks for me were quite grueling. The routine is rough. To get into the routine, I personally found it hard to get into that routine of rowing for 2 hours, resting for 2 hours, or something like that. You know, your body's not resting for more than an hour and 45 minutes consecutively. So that's the hard part physically. But then it's just mental and boredom. It's a big thing.
Alex, it was some achievement. Quite moving as well. Could you allow yourself to get emotional? I mean, Christmas was spent just together, naked together, out in the seas, families back at home, etc. Any thoughts ever of why am I doing this?
We had a really clear view about why we were doing it, which allowed us to be, I think, was a big part of our success, because all of the setbacks that we had, and we had some pretty significant ones, like our rudder breaking and our water making breaking, all of those things you could put in context, and I felt like all the problems we had to get through, because we knew what we were capable of, and we knew actually how important it was to demonstrate that there's a life beyond injury. And it would have been devastating if something out of our control and bad luck had ended our crossing, but thankfully, and we were lucky as well as ingenious, we got a solution and we got there. So for me, the setbacks, we just had to deal with them, and there wasn't really an opportunity to get sort of personally set back by them. We just had to think about what we're there to do and focus on finding a solution.
Special moment, Neil, when you saw the shores of Barbados, families, people cheering, etc. What was that like, that particular moment when you realised that you'd done it?
Yeah, it was absolutely amazing actually. I think for all of us, when we were coming towards Barbados, we were expecting to see our family there and maybe a few other people. There were literally hundreds of people waiting for us to come in. Yeah, totally amazing feeling. I can't really explain it, but unbelievable.
And Carl, obviously, we've all suffered traumas over the years. What's the message that you learnt yourself, and the message that you're getting across to everybody else, having just achieved what you've achieved, despite what most people would see as severe adversity, but I guess you don't.
I'd say just be very patient, be injured or ill in life, keep going, keep kind of strive for that sort of that plateau. I think if you keep working hard and try and achieve something, you'll get there in the end. There's no sort of end game. No.
And Ed, as the able-bodied member here, obviously it was tough for you. But what's your view now, looking back on what you and your comrades achieved?
Yeah, I mean, so on a personal level, rowing and thinking, I remember catching my oar on my knee and kind of screaming out in kind of anger and frustration, and this is so rubbish, and then turning around and Neil was rowing behind me, and his, the oar was smashing into his stump, and kind of realising this is not actually that much I should be complaining about, but I think. The fact that we went through so many setbacks on the road and that tested us to the nth degree and tested us psychologically, I think that the fact that we were successful in crossing kind of demonstrated that actually it's mind over matter. These guys have demonstrated yet again how there is life beyond disability, that actually it's about your attitude and going out there and getting it. And you know, I'm really proud to have been part of this with them, and to have been inspired by those guys, and yet again by so many other guys who are at Headley Court and going after their own challenges. You know, we're one campaign amongst many. I hope that we've inspired a wider community of the wounded and the disabled and the nation, and we've managed to raise some good money, and you know, very proud to have done it with these guys.
Well, you've undoubtedly inspired a lot of people. It's really nice to see you. It's even nicer to see you with your clothes on. And final question really is that it? Or is there another instalment?
There is another instalment. There is. If anyone wants to row next year, get in touch with me. Read the book before you get in touch, because it is serious. It's not easy. So, the Row to Recovery, get the book, and then give me a call. Okay, guys. Well, listen, many congratulations. Absolute inspiration to all of us. Thank you.